you will get rewarded in the end.
Of course, definitely. It's something as well that you have to be, like you were saying before with the business card example. You have to be what's the word I'm looking for? I guess self-aware. That because it is easy to just kind of give a business card and go, it's easier to do that and kind of get back in your shell in a way.
It's
lazy.
lazy.
Do you know what I mean? It is lazy.
It's very lazy.
100%.
It's actually detrimental.
Yeah,
I find that's detrimental.
Keep your business card in your pocket.
Yeah, if someone did that to me, I would just throw the business card out. I'm being open and honest. That's what I would do, because I only want to do business with good people. I want to do business with people who want to give just as much as I want to give.
Yep.
And that comes down to the law of attraction, right? Like you want those types of clients in your business. You want those types of collaborations in your business, because you want to gel with the same type of people as you are, right? And even if it's in different industries, like if you've got the same values and principles, right, then you want to work naturally. You want to work with those people. So for those people who just, like, for example, I get people contacting me on social media all the time saying, Zah, I want to be just like you. Can you give me some mentoring, and can we have a coffee? Right? And it's like, well, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like you haven't, you're not going out of your way to help. So, like for me, I'm really proud that I can be a key influence in my industry, and people do look up to me for advice and, as a thought leader. But it does come with the bad stuff where people just want that free advice. They want to waste your time, and they don't want to offer any value.
No, they don't. Another thing here as well that comes off the back of networking aggressively is self-publishing yourself. I think this is a big one that we've touched on with Luxland here this year. It's something that a lot of people are. Well, we've all been afraid to do it ourselves. Like to go out there and we're always thinking about the people around us. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? But if we kind of put all that to the side, we go out there and we self-publish ourselves, and we're actually getting the most amount of, we're giving the most amount of influence this time around after self-publishing ourselves, which I know you've noticed quite a lot with your social media, Zah. But what do both of you guys think? I'll start with you, Zah, quickly. With self-publishing, is it detrimental? Oh, not detrimental, but is it one of the most important things as well to have influence?
Look, self-publishing right now in this day and age comes down to social media pretty much, and what content you're putting out there. A lot of people use social media as their personal sort of outlet to, express themselves and all of that sort of stuff. But in terms of self-publishing, I mean, it's paramount.
Yeah.
Like if you're, even if you work as an employee, it's paramount. You have to, like for me, like when we hire staff, like I look at what my potential employees are putting up on their social media pages. What type of followers do they have, and who are they? So if it's, for example, if we're looking at someone in property, you want people who are interested in property following them. You know what I mean? And it comes down to the content. Yep. Like if they're putting out, just personal content of their family and stuff like that, which is fine, but unfortunately, you're not gonna, you're not going to hold high priority in my books. So nowadays we live in an era where self-publishing is. It's how you communicate to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because people are having less and less face-to-face meetings. Yep. People are not really even picking up the phone anymore, right? Because they're catching up with people over their social medias. And, like I feel like, for example, that, I know people so well and I've never met them before, right? And when I eventually do meet them, then I can connect with them and say, oh, you're an expert in, such and such field, right? So it's important to start building that relationship with self-publishing. And, like, for example, we do a podcast like this one, and then I'll write articles, and then we'll do videos, and, my photos are always, high-res, professional-looking photos. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the time for it. No, I never had the time for it before. But it's important. Yep. Like, it's mandatory. You've got to do it. And if you want to excel, right, in any field that you are trying to be an influence in, you have to do it because other people are going to surpass you.
Yep.
A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have the time for it," or it's just I don't believe in it. But it's the way of the world now.
It is.
I think self-publish. I think as long as you're authentic, I think that there needs to be a lot more authenticity out there, from what I see. And as long as you're real and honest and interacting with the people that choose to interact with you. And I think that's the most important thing. If you are authentic and the story that you're telling is your story, your actual story, then people will, you'll start to have a lot of huge influence over people and their lives and their personal individual career paths and, their aspirations and their goals. And because they're ultimately learning something from you. There's a lot to be desired out there, especially in the digital space with social media platforms. There's not enough authenticity, and I think if our listeners can take something away today, just be real and tell your story. Don't tell someone else's story, and don't present something that's not real on social media, because people will be rudely mistaken in real life, and
they can pick it up. People can see through it.
It'll crush you. It's a very short-lived solution for you.
Thanks to social media, we've got so much transparency now in the digital world. So people try and fake that, and it's like Jade said, like it's only really short term. Like it's going to show at the end of the day, and it's important to realise that every single person is an expert at something. I truly believe that. Like every single person is passionate about something and they know a lot about something. And what they should do is publish that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I am passionate about building wealth through property. I just love it. And I've done it myself. And I want to teach others how to do it. And I'm passionate about it, which means that because I self-publish myself, what happens is that I am actually looked at as an industry thought leader.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got there's a couple more points here that we've got noted down, in how we're able to influence people, and these tie in with things we've already talked about. I will mention them, but we won't go into them now. We will go into the other couple that are left. But building transformational connections obviously ties in with networking aggressively, as we've just discussed, as well as beating your own drum is self-publishing, which we just finished discussing just now, and how important it is to get out there. But another one here, which is what you guys have done, again, this podcast this week I think is so well suited for you guys specifically, because you've really everything it says to how to influence people, you guys have nailed on the head without us even knowing that these were essentially the noticed ways to the public, on how to influence people. But lead out and embrace diversity. That's something, again, both, Jade and Zara, you guys have done extremely well, where, it's, you're trying to change the game that you're in, the space that you're in. So, the corporate world that we've got, the businesses that you guys have and whatnot, that you want to have that extreme point of difference and embrace diversity on how to be different.
I think it's about challenging status quo.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and rubbish everything that everyone's doing except for us, but think of some new things, like innovation. Be innovative, innovate where you can. Do the things that other people aren't doing. There's a ton of stuff out there that people aren't doing yet. I see a lot of duplication out there, and we live in a world where we can't afford to be duplicating anymore. I mean, there's no point in reinventing the wheel, but be authentic and be individual when you are embracing diversity.
Yeah.
And that's how you'll tackle that have that point of difference. So many people run businesses where they just look like replicas of everything else. And the only way that you are, I think now in this day and age, is to have that point of difference, is to pump your personal brand.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody is built up differently. Like there's no two people that are exactly the same.
Thing as well, sorry to butt in, but everyone has an individual story.
That's
just
right.
The same as their fingerprint.
Yeah.
It's all different.
And I think what's different what makes this time so much greater than, 20, 30 years ago is that 20, 30 years ago, you had to conform. It was so important to conform and follow the herd. Now, if you don't follow the herd, you're actually looked at an industry thought leader, right? And it's easy. It's easy. All you've got to do is don't go with the pack. Do your own thing. You know, like show your own colours, tell your own story, be authentic, like what Jade said. But what happens is that it goes back to your other point of beating your own drum. People are too scared to beat their own drum. But you know what? Like if you can push past that barrier and beat your own drum and tell the world your story, that's what makes you interesting. Because if you are exactly the same as that other company up the road, or you know that other person who you're trying to copy. People are gonna see that, and they're gonna go, "Oh, it's just another."
Don't look past that.
Yeah, it's just another Mark or another Jade. You know, like you want to be the Jade. You want to be the Mark. I want to be the Zar, right? And the only ones, and that's key. You've got to understand that telling your own story is the way you're going to have your point of difference. And to conform you're actually you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, definitely. One of the last points here, which will slowly bring us into a close for this week's episode, but speak up and collaborate openly. I'm pretty sure we did touch on this a little bit earlier within the podcast, but again, how important is it, to again that again ties in with networking aggressively and joining forces with people, yet still having your individual, we'll call it fingerprint, to make a point in the world, but speaking up and collaborate openly. I know both of you guys have done that, multiple times, and it's proven to be successful time and time again.
I think it's about being confident in your craft, right? And if you're confident in your craft and you're well educated and well versed on whatever it is you're trying to educate people on, or for example, like for us, we try and edutain. Where it's a cross between education and entertainment, because like we don't want to be those boring people just going, all right, E equals MC squared. You know what I mean? Like people are just going to switch off. So we have to introduce an element of entertainment in it, so people stay engaged. They love it, and they're watching the 20-minute video all the way to the end. You know what I mean? And they're engaged. And it's the only way you're going to do that is if you are confident in what you do, right? And you're an expert in what you do, and you don't blink twice. Like if you make a mistake, own the mistake.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of people go, like I'm a bit scared to like admit my mistakes and all of that sort of stuff. I'll have a little bit of a failure. Like, but that's all part of the journey.
It's your story.
And that's your story, and people appreciate that. They'll resonate with that because everyone's got problems. I've got problems. You know what I mean? So people like that. It's not good to just dwell on your problems and be negative about things, but be open with it. Like I've been open with my struggles throughout my business journey, and that's what people resonate with. People love that. So to me, that's a little bit of entertainment, right? But at the same time, it educates our audience because they get to learn from my mistakes. So being confident, being confident in terms of speaking up about your mistakes is important, and collaborating with the right people, where being aggressive that way. So it's a self-esteem thing. You need to really have that high self-esteem.
I think speaking up and collaborating openly, I like this point because I can resonate with this after I spoke at a leadership event, and I remember getting the advice from you saying, just be honest with everyone. If you are open and honest and just raw, you'll earn the respect, and you'll be credible, and you'll have influence over other people's lives. And telling your story, it's no one else's story, it's yours. And adding value that way, if it's authentic life lessons and learnings, and if you've authentically failed, then you've got something to teach others, and they'll get a lot of value out of that. So speaking up and just not being afraid of your story, because everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their own trials and tribulations, and just really own it and be proud of it. Be proud of where you've come from, and
definitely
move forward in that direction. And
people will have more respect for you. People, if you own your mistakes and own your position and situation, whether it's good or bad, people will look at you and go, wow, like I respect that person. Like I used to be a little bit embarrassed about my successes and also my failures, but also my successes, surprisingly enough.